My guess is that Robin in Gotham Knights, Tim Drake, has a lot more to him than meets the eye, and the reason that I say that is that Warner Brothers Games Montreal seems to have been extra secretive with Tim Drake. We got a Tim Drake trailer like the other character trailers, and we've seen a little bit of gameplay, just little nuggets of gameplay, but we haven't really seen any extensive combat or traversal even with him. We've seen him using his teleportation ability as he navigates around the city, but we've been told that he uses stealth, he is the stealth-based character, and that sounds like really interesting gameplay to watch, but it's not something that they've shown. And I think that a lot of times viewers get concerned that that means that the mechanics for him just aren't very good, and the reason that they're not showing him off is because he must just look very clunky to play as. My guess, again, is that there are probably some nuances or some story beats associated with this character directly in gameplay perhaps that they don't want to reveal just yet, or maybe they just want one of the characters to remain a little bit in intrigue so that we are excited to see more about him when the game launches. Now, in terms of gameplay, the one thing, as I mentioned, that the developers have said is that he is their stealth-based character, and I actually think that this speaks a lot to who he is in the game and how he differs from the Knights. We've talked about the other Knights and how Red Hood has mystical soul abilities, Batgirl is an amazing hacker, she learned from her time as Oracle how to infiltrate technology really good and how to use computers really well. Nightwing seems to be leaning into his acrobatic abilities and his own personality, but Tim Drake seems to be the most closely linked to Batman still, which makes sense because he is the newest Robin. He has been working for Batman for the least amount of time. He is the youngest character of the Knights, and so for him to be working under Batman, it makes sense that he would be striking from the shadows and using really stealth-based attacks as Batman did. Again, I think that this shows where he could realistically be in this game's story, where he is really clinging to his father figure in a way that the other Knights are not, because they've had time to sort of grow and develop into their own superheroes and people in general. Whereas for Robin, it was like his father was just ripped out from under him, and maybe this is this version of Tim Drake's first real trauma that he experiences and true notion of loss. I don't know exactly how they're going to play upon his backstory and how they are going to handle previous trauma that he has experienced in his life before he became Robin, but this really could be his first real brush with death, and I think that that could be a really compelling direction for this character to go. Again, I think that it will be cool to see how he bonds with the other Knights and how they perhaps treat him as a younger brother to guide through this experience, as many of them have dealt with this before. Nightwing's parents were murdered, and now Batman was murdered. For Barbara Gordon, her father was murdered in this universe, and so was Batman. For Red Hood, he experienced a lot of personal trauma before he was taken in by Batman, who has now been taken from him as well. So I think that this game is going to focus very heavily on the characterization of the Gotham Knights and their recovery from the trauma of not only losing Bruce Wayne, but kind of a piece of themselves along the way in various shapes and forms. And Tim Drake, in some ways, I think, hasn't been through the ringer the same way that these other characters have. He obviously has seen the ugly side of Gotham City. He's been Robin for who knows how long in this universe, but he isn't as world-weary as some of these other characters are. Or at the very least, there's a sense of a level of him being a little bit more naive than the other Knights in terms of how permanent Bruce Wayne's death is. Again, we haven't really seen any extensive gameplay or story content for Tim Drake, but just from those little nuggets, that's kind of what I'm garnering. I'm excited to learn more about this character, both his stealth-based abilities and where he is in the story. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about it as well in the comments below. Please be sure to let me know, and please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you guys in the next one.